My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Tab had a nervous breakdown and quit her job tomorrow, and y'all lost a house. You lost a house. It's just that simple. If you had a nervous breakdown and Tab lost a house, I mean, you lost the house. There's a responsibility that we have that we can't afford to, we don't have that space. What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I'm Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg. Join my co-host, Razi and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your minds.
Got quite a bit going on over here. First, I want to read this quote to you, fellas, and get your thoughts on it. You probably already heard it. Everyone's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go and change your parts doesn't make you a woman. And that was Macie Gray on Piers Morgan's show, I think last week. And she obviously did the Deion Sanders about 2 days later and backpedaled. But it's not that far off from what I said in one of our episodes a couple of years ago when I said, hey, I have no problem with referring to them as a woman if that's what they want to be called. But in my mind, to me, they're not a woman like my wife or a born woman. I think y'all call them cis women or whatever the case is. They're just women to me. So to me, I do separate the two, but I have no problem with, I don't take issue with addressing them as a woman because they have that right to be addressed as such. So did you guys feel like what she said was that controversial?
You trying to get us canceled?
I
plead the fifth.
I don't feel it's controversial. I feel like people are still entitled to their opinion. We've talked about this several times to the point where I can even be a supporter. I don't have to agree with your method or ideology 100%. So on, I think it was Respect the Asterisk episode, we talked about that. Like, I can look at you, address you, respect you, treat you as a woman 99.9% of the time, or even look at you that way. But if there's still, I have the right, I feel, to still hold that, that 0.1 or 0.01%, because that's just how I feel. We still have no one's perfect. We're getting better, but biologically, you have to look at it. There are differences. I wouldn't treat them any different, but
right.
Respect the asterisks.
Going back to it, I was playing with the plead the fifth. I really do think that there is, like you said, there is a difference. I'm not saying they're not a woman; they're a trans woman. I really, like Ferg said, 99% they get all the rights, privileges, whatever of a woman, but they are a trans woman. And so there are people, like we talk about dating preferences, things like that. I need to know that you're a trans woman. If I want children and I want my wife to have my child, right, I need to be able to know that you can't have my children. Right, we got to do a surrogate or whatever if we go down that route. I need to know those things. So I feel like you can say all day, you're, like you said, I'm going to call you a woman. You are a woman, but you are a trans woman, and it is different than being a cis woman. And just like we respect everybody's differences, I think you need to be able to respect that difference, that you are different from a cisgendered woman.
And I think it's lightly disrespectful too. So
And I asked that because, obviously she got the usual death threats and all the nasty language that comes on social media. But that doesn't count. I mean, it counts, but people are always going to say crazy things. But in the Rolling Stone, which is a credible, they have some credible journalists that write articles. There's a quote in the Rolling Stone that says, "One thing's for sure, Gray's antiquated, misguided, and hateful rhetoric surrounding trans people is the type of sentiment that has had deadly consequences. The violent killings of trans Black women, Brazil Johnson and Kitty Monroe last week are just the most recent examples." I think that's a bit too far. Just to say that I don't think you're women. There are differences. Like, there are people that probably spew the type of language that leads to people hating trans people, but not what Macie Gray said. So I think
it goes back to, how people say, I don't see color. That's exactly the issue. You're trying to erase the differences, right? Oh, they're just the same. They're not just the same. And you have to respect those differences, right? I see color, I see gender. And so cisgender and transgender are different. I see that. I see that a transgendered woman has different, issues that they have to deal with than a cisgendered woman, right? Like those things. So I see you and I see your differences and I respect your differences. And that's the difference there is I can see you as different and still respect you as a woman. That's the difference.
I hope it gets to the point where we can accept and respect the differences. Mm-hmm. That's what you're saying, Razi. It has to get to the point where we need to acknowledge it. I mean, this is the same reason Black women were killed for years when they got caught passing. Should it matter? Maybe not. That's up for debate. But the thing about it is, when you mislead someone else, because there's the problem. Well, this is why I think some of these people are, now, don't get me wrong. There are some evil people in the world that just hate people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But in some of these cases, what I'm hearing is, you're thinking you're dating a certain person or you're involved with a certain person. And then you find out that's not true. And people react. I'm not saying it's justified, but this is part of it. Like, if we can get past the world where they have to lie or hide their truth, then that might just be step one. I don't know the answer, but you have to respect that there's a difference, and that's why people are reacting a certain way, because there's a difference.
Yeah, and I think what it is, I think the issue that they come in, they have with it is when you say they're a real woman, like saying real. Like, we talked about what makes a real man, right? And how you can question that and everything. That I think is their problem. They're saying a cis or a trans woman is still a real woman. And so I see why they're getting why Macie Gray gets the pushback there, right? It's like, you don't tell me I'm not a real woman because I'm a trans woman. You could say I'm not a cis woman. You could say I'm not a biologically born woman. You can say those things, but that doesn't make me less of a real woman. And I can see that from them.
I know you didn't mean this to be a question, Puff.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's a lot more, and I'm known for doing that, taking my opening statements and making it a question. But I wanted to get some quick reaction. The only other two quick things I got is I just wanted to give a shout out to Leslie and Eli. We went to a wine festival in Purcellville, Virginia, Key West festival. I saw my boy Frank and his lovely wife, Charity. Frank, who I did the other podcast with, Politically Entertaining. It was great to see him. I didn't even know he was coming, so that was a great surprise. Had a great time. And it's still kind of cool I came across an ABC news producer a couple of weeks ago, and someone was like, hey, this is Byron Evans. And he was like, you're the one that stole the interview. You got the Eugene Goodman interview. Like, we still get flack from some of the news outlets that we out-scooped through, man. So that's just kind of cool, man. So that's all cool. I got, though, man.
Yeah. Shout out. Didn't Dunn testify? I saw a couple of quotes from him on a couple of news outlets. So, or were they using his old testimony?
I think they were using his old. I think they were using his old testimony, but he's been like all over the networks, MSNBC, CNN, giving like tons of interviews. So he's all over this January 6th hearing. Yeah. Love it, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, Dunn. I have a few things. One, shout out to my city. I like to claim Birmingham as my city as well. I know I'm from Mobile, but shout out to my city hosting the World Games. We call it the Baby Olympics. So it's the all the non-cool sports out there, but it's actually some really cool sports in there. There's some gymnastics. There's like the floor shows and things like that in there. But there's also like taekwondo, kickboxing. There's Muay Thai, which was awesome. Sumo wrestling is a part of it, and so you got like roller derbies in there. You got billiards, bowling. So it's the non-sexy sports that the Olympics has. But it's actually awesome to have all these countries here in Birmingham, and we're trying to treat them right. And Birmingham did a really, really good job of hosting, making it fun, putting out free events so everybody could actually enjoy it at the same time. So I'm just really happy for that, man. So shout out to you, Birmingham, for that. Did you guys get a chance to see the Chapelle episode or the new special that he got come out? No. Is it on Netflix?
It is good. It's on Netflix. So it was his actual acceptance speech. You know, they were trying to name the theater at his old high school. I can't remember the name of the high school, but they're trying to name the theater after him. Duke Ellington. That's it. Yeah, in DC, right? Yeah. So Duke Ellington High School for Performing Arts. And so they tried to name the theater after him. And his acceptance speech, he basically turned it into a special, and it is awesome. He talked about the closer. He talked about the reaction for that. But I mean, when you talk about like a graduation speech, inspiring, talking about going back to your high school and all of that, it's just super dope, man. So check that out if you can. And finally, I don't know, we got a new challenge, fellas. So all the fellas out there, if you go to TikTok or you go and watch out, #silhouette challenge. It's the new red light one. So if you're trying to look at that, go check it out, man. It's exciting. I'll just say that. It's exciting. So that's all I got, man.
All right, I'm gonna make mine really quick. I want to do a couple of shout outs. First of all, to my niece, Jasmine Cameron. She is in Barcelona right now participating in a youth softball tournament. Well, she just participated in a youth softball tournament representing Team USA, and they won the tournament. So that's awesome for her team to get to go and represent the US. They were actually supposed to go last year, but because of the pandemic, it got postponed to this year. So they went. She had a blast. She's still there. My sister's posting a lot of pictures. She seems happy, and I always love to see kids get exposure and be open to new opportunities. That's one. Another one is hats off to the Bruz Bookshelf. They did a recent 4-part episode on the autobiography of Malcolm X, as told to Alex Haley. And it was really, really in depth. They hit on a lot of great points. Lenny incorporated a lot of clips. They had some great guest speakers who were really in tune with Malcolm X, have done studies. And I advise anybody who wants to dig a little deeper in Malcolm to take a listen. They had mixed reviews about the man, the book itself. There's so much more out there, and gave me a newfound respect for Betty Shabazz. I actually want to hear her speak more. On some of the points they brought up, I definitely want to hear her speak more. So that's what a good podcast, a good book does. It makes you want to continue researching. So hats off to Lenny, Donovan, Walt, Teresa, and the rest of the Bruz Bookshelf. Excellent show. 4 parts, like I said. So if you got time, check it out. That's the Bruz Bookshelf. You can check it out on any podcast, Apple. I think they even do YouTube. Google Podcasts, all the same ones you can find Three Brothers No Sense.
But one place you can't find them is Inspire You on air, the new meter of the Bay, because that's where we at. So 10 o'clock every Monday, make sure you check us out.
That's for sure. That's for sure. That's real talk.
Love it.
We ready to jump in? Oh, before did y'all see the pictures from what was it, the James Webb telescope? No, like so the Hubble is like the one everybody knows. So the new telescope, James Webb, they took a picture. They found like all these cool galaxies and all that stuff. Y'all didn't, man. Y'all are not nerdy enough. But I'm just saying, y'all not. Are y'all waiting for a joke? No, this is like real. This is real.
I was thinking it was a joke. I'm thinking it's a joke.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a joke, but no. I mean, I'm waiting on you to invite us to Nerdland.
No, okay. So just putting it out there. I mean, it exposed or showed like very, very high quality pictures of like galaxies, everything else. They talked about it like being like looking back in time, because they were like 150 million light years away. So basically what they're looking at is looking back at what it looked like 150 million years ago. So being able to see how galaxies form, what do they look like when they're forming, that type of thing. So it's opening up a whole new like level of astronomy by like just being able to look at this little small patch of the sky. So any of the aspiring astronomers out there, folks who just are interested in it, like I said, the big nerds, go check out those pictures, man. I mean, they're super duper dope. So that's all I got. I just wanted to bring that up.
Appreciate it, sir.
Yes. I had a joke around it, but it's not going to land now. So I'm not even going to go there, because you guys kind of ruined it with the looks.
Just try to slide it in.
I was waiting.
Nope. I didn't want to do it.
Okay, it's filmed.
I'm on strike.
You drinking a nice red tonight, Byron?
I am from the vineyard that I mentioned. Shout out to Bro Vineyards, not BRO, by the way. It's BREAUX. But
because I thought it was like, I was about to say it's black owned.
Nah, man. It's nice though, man. Very nice. And I'm enjoying this red too. Yeah. But anyway, enough about it. Go ahead.
Dry? How's it? Are you there yet?
It's good. I don't.
Well, you can describe the notes.
It is dry. It's dry. I actually had the description of all the notes.
You can
the fruits.
What is it?
No, I don't swirl it around.
It has legs. I'm getting undertones of nuts. Is that a peach?
I admire people that can do it. Not people who fake do it, like people who pretend they like jazz. I don't like people who pretend they know, but I do admire the people that really know what's going on. Cool.
Yeah, and for real, if you've never been to a wine tasting, I went to a wine and cheese tasting. I mean, those are really fun to go to too. Even if you don't like really like wine, it's just kind of cool. Like you said, to listen to it and they'll kind of walk you through it, and you'll start to kind of pick up on, oh, this one is more oaky, or this one is more fruity and everything. Right. So yeah, it's a fun little experience. If you want to go for a date night or something, find a sommelier, find someone that does like a wine tasting, pairing it with some cheese, that type of thing. It's a cool little date night if you want to try to take advantage of that.
All righty. Well, let's jump into it, fellas. Who's up first?
I can go. My question, I saw a post. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. It came out of Unilad, which is kind of like a British like periodical, and a dad there abandoned his child at preschool after he found out that he wasn't the dad. So, found out and was just like, well, I ain't going to pick up the kid. The kid ended up being there for like 4 or 5 days. Like nobody came to pick up the kid, and they were like calling. He just like completely abandoned the kid when he found out that the child wasn't his. I don't want to go to that extreme, but I did want to ask about when somebody raises a kid that they think is theirs, but then finds out that the child isn't theirs. do you guys think it's okay if they just say wash their hands and walk away? Or is it like, I'm 5 years in, this kid thinks I'm their dad, should they stay?
So my answer is similar to the whole McDonald's skit that we talked about last week, in that I don't think he's obligated to stick around and remain the father figure. But it's cool if he does. If that's what he wants to do, that's cool. But he's not obligated to. And I, for one, don't blame him if he does decide to walk away.
Ferg?
Agreed. I mean, it definitely would be nice, but I mean, it depends on what he's looking for. If he's looking for a life outside of just being a father, because there's, let's say him and the woman are married. There's being a husband and being a father, and where my priority is, spouse first, parent second. We all disagree on that, but that's me. And my thing is, once I've been deceived by this person, this mother, I feel like at a certain point I have the right to go be happy. I have the right to be with somebody and continue a life or start a new life with somebody who is loyal, trustworthy, and stuff like that. It would be tough to exit the house, and maybe I would still keep some kind of relationship with that kid. But at the same time, I have to be true to myself because nobody else was, right? And go find somebody where I can be a husband and a father in that situation. But, I feel sorry for the kid, but, I don't want people staying in relationships just for the kid. I mean, that's to me, that's the same way as a abusive relationship or just being unhappy in a marriage. You have to be true to yourself. And I know people and they have fake kids, and they still do for their fake kids, but they've moved on with their lives.
Yeah, that's that. My take on it is, okay, so it's a little nuanced. I think what that dad did to that kid was 100% wrong.
Oh yeah.
You don't abandon that is trash. You
Where was
don't abandon the kid.
Where was
I can't remember. They just said they couldn't contact her, and so she was trash, and he was kind of a lone dad, and when he found out the kid wasn't his, he's like, well, I ain't doing it either then. Like she left. But again, he was trash for that. But what I will say is, I think just like you guys are saying, I'd probably stay in the child's life, because at that point, I love this kid, right? I'm 4 or 5 years in, I'm 6 years in, and I feel like I'm this child's father. I don't think you can just turn that off. But at the same time, I'm not paying child support. I'm not staying with her. She's a cheater, right? So I'm not staying with her. I'm breaking off that relationship, and I've got to figure out now, how do I stay in this child's life? And then it's really up to her whether she's going to let me stay in this child's life without me paying child support. Because I've seen where courts have said, if you want to stay in the child's life, you got to pay child support. If you're going to act like the father, then you still got to be the father. Like there's been those situations where courts have made non-parents pay child support because they had parented the child for so long, even though they didn't know that the child wasn't theirs. When they found out, they still keep them on child support.
That's about the dumbest shit in the world.
Yeah. I don't know why the courts would do that, but I've seen a couple cases like that.
I get so frustrated with stuff that makes no sense. I get it. She got a free dad. He got a free daddy for 12 years. She got a cakewalk for 12 years. She got some child support. You lucky they don't make them pay back child support
and pay it back. That's what I would. If we're being equal about it, that's what should happen. Is if you lied to me, like if you knowingly did it. Now I can understand if we thought I didn't get a paternity test. I knew you were sleeping around, like we weren't together, and I just ended up being the father. And I never got a paternity test. That was dumb on my part. Cool. I'm not paying child support, or I don't want back pay. But if yours like, You know, we were married and I've, parented this child for 10 years, and then all of a sudden it comes out that I'm not the dad. Then, no, I need that back child support. If I paid child support the last 5 years, if we separated at 5, in the last 5 years I've been paying child support, I need that money back. But the courts will never do that because the courts are very much skewed toward the woman in those situations.
Yeah, he wouldn't be canceled.
What? Oh, y'all don't agree with me? Y'all don't think the courts are skewed towards women? Women know that.
No, I agree with you. And I agree with Ferg, too. That is stupid.
You don't got to agree with me. The shit's stupid. I don't need you to co-sign. It's just dumb. But, I feel sorry for the kid. But to me, sometimes a clean break is just best. Because if I am, let's say I'm a good husband, good father, and how do I move forward in my life? Like, how does it affect my future? I meet Sabrina down the line, and I'm trying to create a life with her, but I'm still tied to something that I really don't have a tie to outside of just being a good guy and moral obligations. Like, is it fair to be almost moonlighting as a dad, for a child that's not yours? Does it allow you to continue to grow and move forward? I don't know. I don't know what to tell him. It always sounds good, but hey.
Yeah, it's hard to walk away from that child, though. So it might be one where you want to do that, but you just can't do it, right? You're just so emotionally attached to that child that you have to do it. So, yeah, it's a tough situation. So women, stop lying. I'm just playing.
Women don't lie.
Women don't lie. Yeah, it's not stop lying.
That's a lie. All right, is it on me?
Yeah, it's on you, man.
All right, let's go with that kind of same theme. So I was engaged in several debates this week. And I wouldn't even call this one a debate. It was more so an exchange of thoughts. The person who made this post was very receptive of my response. I'll read the post first, and then I'll hit it with my question. So one of one of the Deltons from fam, I'm known for 20 plus years, really brilliant young lady. I respect her a lot. Her post was, is it me? Or are men really this emotionally ignorant? What is happening? I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. So I don't want to go into the post itself about whether men are emotionally ignorant or not. My question is, do men have and not even men, do black men have the freedom of speech? The same freedom of speech that our black women have. An example is a post like this. Can a black man make this post and not be canceled or attacked? And can black women get away with this? And if you defend yourself, or black men defend themselves, is it equal?
That's so multi-layered. So no, men can't make a post like that and get away with it. They're going to get attacked 100%. And I think what ends up happening is women, when they attack a post like that, they come and for some reason it's okay for them to speak for all women, right? They'll say all women aren't like that. You met the wrong ones, yada, yada, yada. You're messing with them and everything. But when guys try to come on a post like that and try to speak for men or say all men aren't like that, and they'll make us the exception. We'll be like, well, you're not bad, right? You're one of the good ones, but men in general, and they still stick to their guns of men in general are emotionally ignorant or whatever.
Or in this case, I saw where, somebody made a comment and it was like, see what I mean? You almost can't defend yourself. right? Because
I mean, what was the context of that? Like, what was she talking about when she says, "Are men this emotionally?"
I guess dating or whatever the case may be. So I'm not even getting into the post itself. Just think about any of the negative posts you see. You know, if you defend yourself as a man, or if you, let's say, well, women do something similar. So there you go. Like it's always we can't accept the post, or we're mansplaining, or whatever it is. We can't accept the truth. Whatever it is, their post is legit. And anything in disagreement with it is a problem, and almost a further attack on men that maybe even to some prove their point. And I'm not saying men are, there's trash men and women.
The funny part about it is, if no man comes on the post and says anything, it's still an indictment. They're not, of course it's right, because they're not coming to defend it. So it's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with those posts.
I actually see it slightly different from you guys. I think it's both sides. I think women get attacked when they make posts like that. I think men get attacked when they make posts like that. Black men especially, for years have made posts like, black women better watch out now. Soon as white women learn how to season food, it's going to be over for y'all. And then black women make the post like you just made, Ferg. So I think both sides do it and both sides get attacked for it. For me, it's become exhausting. I've expressed how I'm just sick of the whole battle of the sexist posts. Like for her to make a post like that, it's a little disappointing. For anybody to make a post like that, it's a little disappointing. You've never met the majority of black men in this country. You've never met the majority of black women in this country. So anytime you make a post, it's really just based off of your experience and not the totality of what's out there. So it's always disappointing when I see these type of posts, and I wish we would stop. Like, what are we getting by doing this other than getting people to co-sign and social media high-five you and get other people to argue against you and just have 100 comment posts on social media? I can't think of anything you can get out of it, because it's not like you're coming from a place where you're trying to reach. Like, if you truly feel that way, and I'm not even talking about her post specifically. If you truly feel that way about her, I want to get her on the show. Right. If you truly feel that way about black women, or if you truly feel that way about black men, there's a better way you can come out and try to reach those people and say, hey, why is it that men do this or do that, or won't do this or won't do that? Why is it that black women do this? Have a dialogue. But when you start off a post like that, where it's pretty much an attack or an indictment, you're never going to get anywhere. And I never see the point in these type of posts.
I agree to a certain extent. Both parties make these posts. But I mean, even on this show, like, we'll be thinking something like, can't say that. Because we understand the backlash that comes with speaking out against women, especially black women. Mm-hmm. And they have a little more freedom. You feel like they have a little more freedom. That's what I'm saying. You have everybody can make the post. We're still men. We're going to say what we want to do. We like a little controversy here and there. Hell, this question saying is going to cause some controversy. I get it. But there's a certain, they know. Oh, she knew guys are going to say something about that post.
Right.
Does she have to worry about being canceled? Do women get canceled or have backlash for the same post? If I made that post, is it me or women emotionally ignorant? I might lose my freaking job. Like, I could see somebody taking that to HR. And it's not the same. That's what I mean. Like, we all say we all say stuff, but there is more backlash when it comes, we have to bite our tongue a little more. And I'm with you. I think we need to have more healthy dialogue. I think we need to be more realistic and say that, what is emotionally, and I kind of push back on, the term emotionally ignorant. I think, for one, you're starting off with something that's going to cause conflict. And nobody wants to be called emotionally ignorant. So even if you have somewhat of a valid point, once again, it goes back to the whole Kevin Samuels, the same way women couldn't accept the, what do you call them? Leftovers. Because of the leftover statement or comment, the argument is lost. In this case, you know, we say the same thing. Maybe he shouldn't say that. You know, like it's his delivery. But Kevin Samuels is a perfect example. He could have his words can be just as harsh and just unapologetic, but he's not getting canned. He got, you know, people were coming for his head.
I look at Kevin Samuels like, my bad, go ahead.
No, he was, to me, he was the first person I've seen really come with that same amount of energy.
Mm.
Yeah. You know, and it was like, oh no, you're not going to talk about us like that. But, you know, we've been growing up for years. Men are trash. Don't trust them. You know, all kind of movies and Tyler Perry specials that make black men look like trash. You know, that became kind of our norm to get talked about. You know, we felt good when we saw a sister standing up for us, like out in public and verbally and stuff like that. Now, we have a lot of black women who stand up for us and they love us, love our dirty draws. Don't get it twisted. But to them, that was a shock. You know, like the way he came out the gate, they ain't never seen nothing like that. But Buff, I feel like you got something.
No, I was just going to compare him to, and maybe I've done it on the previous episode before, but he reminds me of Fox News because he is the pushback to some of the stuff you mentioned that men felt like they dealt with for decades and decades of the slandering and things like that. Just like Fox, the reason why there is a Fox News is because there was a segment of America that felt like they wasn't represented by the CNNs, by the NBCs. They felt like they were too liberal, too left. And so that created a space for Fox News to say, hey, we're going to go the completely opposite way of that and give you a different take on things. And that's exactly what Kevin did in a very, very harsh way. Keep in mind, his first viral video, he was using the woman's words that she said.
Agreed.
And for some women, he was still being too mean. She was the one that said she was average. And he repeated that. You're average at best. Those were her words.
Once again, you can't even use a woman's words if it's not favorable. You can't even use a woman's words. She said it, not him. And he got attacked. That's my point. It's like freedom. You don't have that same freedom of speech. You call my show asking my opinion about you. I ask for feedback so I can get an understanding of your thought process. Then when I use your thought process on my show where you called in asking my opinion about you, the pushback. And I agree. I don't think we should be slandering each other. I hate seeing black men come at women. But I think there is some truth in some of the conversations we have, and we have to be more open and honest about it. So if you make a post or you ask a question and a man gives you an answer, or men are giving you answers, and you're like, no, that's not the way it is. Women can't tell you how men think. You can ask that post and you have 1,000 women telling you what men are doing, and it's like the same way we can't tell you how women think. We have to be open, and I think that's just not with men and women. I think that's with all groups who have opposition. You know, white people are scared to have the race conversation because if they say anything, same situation, they feel attacked. Like they're like, I'm just going to shut up because I don't have freedom of speech to show. Maybe my opinion is ignorant, but it's still my opinion. We can't have the dialogue to move further because we can't get past as if I say the wrong thing, I might lose my job.
Yeah. And when it comes to like stuff about like guys being emotionally ignorant and stuff like, it's not necessarily that, it's we're different, or that guy or those people that they're interacting with are different in how they process their emotions, how they show their emotions and things like that. That doesn't mean they're ignorant or anything. And I think that's the problem, is all of those posts generalize. They take one little piece and say, these are my experiences, so I'm going to generalize to all guys.
Not even that. I think these opinions, just like ours, come from a bar of our understanding. If women are setting the bar of what emotional intelligence looks like, and the way we show emotional intelligence is different, then we're lost. The same way I made a post the other day, and I think it was very fitting. I talk about it, a similar subject all the time, about men needing more respect. And, you know, if we look at respect as a kind of a form of love, you know, but no, that's not love. This is what love looks like. And you're like, but that's what love, like, you're making the definition and you're painting the picture of what love or these standards are. But those aren't our standards. There's only one person that's making these rules. You're saying we're emotionally ignorant, or maybe we're not sensitive enough, but men are at the same time, you're way too sensitive. So somebody is either we're both right, we're both wrong, or maybe we just both need to have a conversation and figure out what's a nice middle ground for us to meet at. Like, you can't tell me that I'm wrong when it comes to my emotional intelligence, but it's because you overreact. You know, you're way too emotional and stuff like that. You know, because when me and Z first started dating, she used to say this when we got really serious, like, I wish you were more sensitive or something like that. And I would, we would talk about it. I'm like, really? And I would explain, we would actually go through the scenario of what that would look like. And she's like, I'm good. I don't need that. You know, do you really want, you know, when we were at one point, all guys wanted to, we wanted the homegirl. We wanted our lady to be our best friend, our homeboy. Like, we just want to be like one of the fellas. And you get that, like, nah. No. You're too much like me. You know, because we think that's what we want, and we're setting the bar on what we think is cool and acceptable. That's not. There's differences, and we counterbalance each other. We balance each other out, and I don't know. Just let's have real conversations. It'll get you a lot further.
All right, man. I guess this is the man episode. So very, very simple question. I feel like I know the answers, but you guys are great at elaborating. Are men's mental health, is a man's mental health taken seriously enough in our society? Because we saw the meme, and this was before the Oscar slap that Will Smith did on Chris Rock. We saw the meme of Will Smith at the red table with his eyes watered up, being made fun of. We saw Tyrese when he had his breakdown being made fun of. Hell, Razi, you mentioned
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. You mentioned my coworker, Officer Dunn, earlier. I had other law enforcement people call and say, "Yo, why was he crying at the hearing, man? What's wrong with him? Is he soft?" Like questioning him, because we saw what January 6th was like, man. You know, and everybody has a different experience. Y'all don't know what that man went through, but he was automatically questioned for it. As much emphasis as we put on men's mental health now, I think there's even a month dedicated to it. We mention it as much as possible. Maybe it's taken more seriously than it used to be, but do you think it's being taken seriously enough? Or are those just empty words when we say, hey, men's mental health month, make sure you call this number, something like, I think people say those words, but in the real life situations, how seriously are they taking men's mental health?
I'll go first, because I mean, I'm pretty open about my PTSD and my mental health issues and stuff like that. And so, I think folks look for the violent mental health breakdowns. Like when you talk about, if you need somebody, call somebody. So like if they're suicidal, they'll take that seriously. If they, are homicidal, they'll take that seriously. But there's a spectrum there. Depression is one that people don't take seriously, right? Like if I'm just depressed and it's hard for me to get out of the bed, then you're soft. If I can't control my emotions and I cry because I all of a sudden got a trigger and boom, I'm having a flashback and I well up, you're soft at that point, right? That's not mental health to people, because they don't know or don't understand the spectrum of it all. So I 100% agree with you, I 100% think that it's not taken seriously enough. And that's all mental health, not just men's. But I really do think that men's mental health is probably even lower on that rung, because until it gets to where you're blowing up, until it gets to the point where, you have this violent reaction, then you're okay. Like, you bottle it up, deal with it, guy, man up, take care of what you need to take care of. I think we had that post we were discussing about guys just have to be okay. It's just like you just take care of it, figure it out, and mental health becomes an issue when you can't take care of it anymore, when you just blow up. So I definitely think people just discount it, or don't worry about it, or don't think about it, and they'll call you soft, they'll call you all kind of names. If you're dealing with it and they see you dealing with it yourself, they'll call you soft. And if you go try to get help, they'll call you soft. So it's like, I'm trying to get better and you still call me soft. But at the same time, if you see me just randomly crying, if you see me shrink away from a group, if you see me like I just left from the World Games, I was talking about that. I was there for about an hour and I started feeling overwhelmed. I was like, it's the crowd started getting bigger and everything. And I was like, all right, I gotta go. And so, people don't think about that and don't really understand all of that, right? They're just like, oh, come on, let's go be out. Let's go have fun or whatever. And you're like, I can't. I literally can't. You want me to go over there and have a panic attack? Because that's really what's going to end up happening if I get out there like that. So like, that's where folks have to really, really kind of understand that there is a continuum, there's a spectrum, but right now I don't think they do. And they just don't, either they don't care or they don't understand it enough to really pay attention to it.
So, Razi, agree with you 100%. You talked about the spectrum. I think you wrapped that up perfectly. I'm gonna bring up another one. I'm gonna call about the space. It's the fact that our mental health is so low on the totem pole of priorities, because if you have the space, and what I mean by space is you can go get therapy, you can go do all this stuff, but there's other shit you need to take care of first. Like if you gotta handle the stuff that goes on. So you said we have to be okay, and I think we've had this conversation, and maybe we even shared it on the show. For one, I'll kind of highlight your spectrum. As long as we're not doing those violent things and we're functioning, we're okay. As long as we're functioning or functionable, continue on. And so that's what I mean by the space. So if you're functioning, you're not about to kill anybody, not to kill yourself, you're not doing drug overdoses and stuff like that, you're okay. You're able to keep your job and all this stuff. Those are the things you need to worry about. Because as much as we talk about men having, our mental health is important, failures outweigh our mental health. If Razi's going through something, his PTSD is taking over, and Razi loses his job, Razi's a failure. You need to get your shit together and get your job back and stuff like that. If you can't get out of bed, you need to suck it up and get out of bed. You got kids, you got all this stuff. People got wives, all this. Like it's not the same. And I think for a lot of women who want to be supportive, they can only be supportive so much.
If all that other stuff is taken care of, I support you then. So as long as these bills paid.
My wife is dope as hell. She's one of the dopest people I've ever met in my life. If she was going through something and she couldn't get out of the bed, the world would expect me to take care of her and make sure she was okay. Agreed, right? Mm-hmm. If I was going through something and I couldn't get out of bed,
the world will expect you to get up and get out of bed.
You on the clock.
And if I didn't, she would get more kudos. Like, I don't know what, like, I mean, I know he going through some, I know he lost his dad. I know he lost his grandmother. I mean, I was going through some things. Like we had this conversation. I was functioning. Like I'm grieving, dealing with some depression, stuff like that. And I had to take a break. I had to take about a week off of work just to kind of get myself back together. and Z was super supportive and all that stuff. But at the certain time, I had to be okay. So somebody asked me, and maybe it was you, Razi. It's like, are you okay? And I think my response was, I gotta be. Like, mental health is almost extracurricular activity for us. It's a nice to have. Because at the end of the day, as long as I'm okay, which is functioning, I may never be good, but as long as I can function, and I'm not saying women have it made and you guys aren't dealing with mental health issues, and I'm not trying to compare. It's not a pissing contest. What I'm saying is we have so many priorities or responsibilities, you know, where any failure we have, you know, mental health or not, it's still a failure. If I can't function, I can't take care of my wife and kids, it is a failure. It doesn't matter what happened. Screw your PTSD, Razi. Get over it.
Mental health isn't an excuse for us to not live our life. That's what it is.
That's what it is. That is, you know, and it's more, not even that, the pressure is we're solution oriented. How do you get over it? You're dealing with PTSD, you need to find a way to get over it so you can function. You're dealing with depression, you need to figure a way to get over it. So we watched this video that Poor Shape gave us about Shaq, and when I went back and looked at it, I get it. He said, I don't have time for emotions. I get it to a certain extent. It's not as blanket as we try to make it. I took it as first. It's like, I can't be emotional because I have these priorities that supersede all my emotions. Like, I gotta get up. I gotta do all these things. If I don't, my responsibilities dictate that these things come first. My wife, my kids, my job, my house. Like, if Buff, y'all lost a house tomorrow, they ain't looking at Tab. Ain't nobody looking at Tab. If Tab had a nervous breakdown and quit her job tomorrow and y'all lost a house, you lost a house. It's just that simple. If you had a nervous breakdown and Tab lost a house, I mean, you lost the house. There's a responsibility that we have that we can't afford to, you know, we don't have that space. You know?
I remember, man, I can't think of his name, but he went to LaFleur. I think he was an underclassman, like graduated a year or two after us. But he was one of the first casualties in Iraq. Well, we went to Afghanistan first, right? He's one of the first casualties. You know who I'm talking about?
I'm looking at. I see his face right now.
Johnson.
Howard.
There it is.
Howard Johnson. Yep.
Howard Johnson. Rest in freedom to you, young brother. I remember his father doing an interview on TV, and he wasn't crying or whatever. He just was speaking of him or whatever like that. And I remember people just saying how strong his dad. He's like, man, his dad is so strong. Did you see that interview? He's so strong. And that was because he wasn't crying. And I remember thinking, like, so if he had tears coming down his face, would that make him weaker, less strong? You know what I mean? So I just remember that. I feel like for all the rhetoric that we hear now, go get help, you know, it's okay. We normalize going to therapy. I think it still can be weaponized against us because, you know, we know therapy is not a cure-all. So whatever you're going to therapy for, let's say you're going to therapy, but you wind up having an outburst or whatever the case may be. There are some people that if they don't feel like dealing with that, they're going to weaponize and say, you need to take your back to therapy. You know, they're going to use it against you. It's weaponized. So for all the rhetoric of, you know, it's okay to do it, it's okay, there are people that will still weaponize it. And a lot of what you said is true too, Ferg. Like, you can have depression or whatever. Men can go through it, but it can't beat you down. It can't beat you down to the point to where you can't go to work or, you know, you can't pay bills. Like people will understand your depression, but like you and Razi say, you still better be getting things done, or people are not going to understand it at all. You're going to be weak and soft and things like that. And the last thing I want to say is, I got to call some women out too, because there are women that say they want a man to be more. The reason why men are so violent is because they don't know how to express their emotions. They want men that are more sensitive and that can express themselves. Most of the time, they're talking about for them. Be more sensitive in the relationship. Be more loving. Be more romantic. But all that other stuff, you need to figure out a way to deal with that. You need to go get some help with that. They're not as sensitive to the other things that we go through a lot of times. So I just was really curious what y'all thought about it, man, because I do think we've made strides in it. I do think, for all the disagreements I had with Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club, I do give him credit for championing men's mental health and pushing men to go get help and go get therapy. Ferg, you're a big proponent of it, and Razi, it's great that you're open about what you're going through, man. So we've made strides, but I wanted to bring this question up because I feel like we still got a long ways to go.
Yeah. I mean, and even it's a little, I give a couple of things. Women, especially a lot of single women out there, I know you have those similar responsibilities, and if you don't get it done, it doesn't get done. I get it. But I will give y'all credit for something. Y'all know how to, even the people that aren't going to therapy, for the most part, women know how to support each other with their mental health and their problems. And they do not even just support, they do things that are truly therapeutic. If they do a girls' weekend, they get away, they'll go to the spa, they'll sit on a boat and just, they can do a whole weekend with no guys. Even when Z had her bridal shower weekend, they did so much just therapeutic stuff. A guy's weekend, we're trying to end your life. You don't need a vacation from your vacation. Think about it. We can go to the exact same spot. We're gonna try to, if we get a boat, regardless, like guys want women around. Guys are gonna get hammered. They're going to do stuff that just like, we're going nonstop. If we're celebrating Razi's 40th birthday, we're going nonstop and we're trying to get Razi to die. You pretty much died for your 40th, right?
Pretty much died. Yeah.
You died all weekend. But that's the difference. We don't do as much therapeutic things. We're like, yeah, fellas, let's just get together and just, let's do a spa weekend in like, one of these Arizona or something. Go to we're not doing that, which might be the most therapeutic.
With y'all.
Exactly. We can't, but that's the thing. That might be exactly what you need. It might be the most relaxing moment of your life. You go into one of these, shamans and, we're doing it. And it could be what we're missing, but we're not taught to, we're taught to go full blast. A guy's getaway weekend, I
was saying that's what your friend meant by emotionally ignorant.
She might be right. What is self-care for men?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what self-care is for men, but I started this 2 years ago. Once a year, I do a me day, and like last year for my me day, I went and got a massage, a pedicure, and a nice steak dinner, just by myself in the city, and came back home later that day. And it's something I'm going to continue to do. But every man is different. For some men, it may be going out with his closest boys, having a cigar, or whatever like that. But find what relaxes you, and that you don't mind doing with with your boys or whatever, and that could be a possible solution.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Good question, Buff. Let's go ahead and close it on out, fellas.
Only thing I got, man, is if you're looking for something to watch with the kids, especially our African American listeners. The Sea Beast is coming out on Netflix. It's a cool little take on like pirates and stuff like that, but it's animated. So if you want to watch that with the kids and see some representation, I'm just really, really liking that they're showing a lot more representation in these shows, and it's not just the same old type of stuff. It started with Doc McStuffins and all of them, and so we're starting to see a lot more representation in the kids cartoons and things like that. That's not just so the kids can see themselves in fantasy stuff and just really imagine themselves in this. So go check that out if you're looking for something. And just kind of piggybacking on this mental health thing, man, when we say don't be scared to go and reach out and stuff, don't wait until you're ready to blow to reach out. Like if you start seeing that, you know, hey, it is kind of hard for me to get up, hey, something's not right, something's off, go ahead and look for a therapist, go talk to somebody, find you somebody that you can talk to, but address it then before it gets to be too much. So that's how.
To piggyback off what you just said, Razi, I actually, and I can't believe I forgot to mention this on the last show, a couple of weeks ago, I did a podcast, Crescent Cuties. Check them out on Facebook. You can listen to the episode we did. But one of the topics we talked about was why is it when a significant other, so when a man gets sick or terminally ill, the woman, you know, sticks by his side, tries to take care of him, she stays in the marriage. When it's the other way around and a woman gets terminally ill, percentage-wise, men leave much more than women do. And one of the reasons that study showed is that, and this puts the onus on us men, is because women, like Ferg just brought up, women have a great support circle. So when they're going through something, if they're taking care of a terminally ill husband, they have friends and sisters or their mother that they can talk to, confide in, and share what they have no problem sharing whatever with their friends, as opposed to men. We may share everything with our wife, but there's some things we won't even share with our boys. And so we feel like a lot of times, depending on what you're going through, the only person you can share something with is your spouse. And if they get terminally ill, you don't have anyone else to turn to, because I guess men feel like other men don't understand certain emotions that you may be going through. So we've got to make it to where our boys feel like it's okay. You know, we always have to be so macho, but we got to let our boys know, man, it's okay. You come, I may not have the answers, but I'll be a listening ear, bro. You know what I mean?
So
like
you just said it right there. I think that's
it's okay to not be okay.
Because especially if, like, what I'm gonna go bother Razi and they can't help me, because what are we looking for? An answer.
Yeah.
The support, we don't look for support because we've never been supported that way. Yeah. Like, we don't look for, like, if we even have a coming up problem today without the spouse, it's, you know, we're listening to you, but also to a certain extent, we're looking for, like, okay, so what's the end result of this? How do we fix this? What have you done? So if your spouse is significantly ill, it's like, well, we can't do anything for it. We, you know, y'all got insurance, dog. Like, you're going through, you're making sure the solutions are there, but, you know, how many of us are gonna sit and cry with our boy?
Right.
You know, we're uncomfortable crying and sitting in our own emotions. You know, let alone crying and sitting, you know, listening to somebody else that you can't, like, there's no solution. You know, I look at Z all the time. We're watching something and she'll empathize. She'll be watching TV and I'm like, how? Why? You don't know. Why are you crying? Like, she's there. She's bought into their feelings and whatever they're going through. And I'm like, what the heck? You know?
Yeah.
That's how in tune some of our women are. You know?
So make sure y'all
have each other.
Check out that podcast with the episode that I'm on as Crescent Cuties. The other two things I wanted to bring up is I want to say Trump was right. Mexico is going to help pay for the border. However, it wasn't Trump that did it. It was President Biden. He's getting Mexico for the next 2 years to pay $1.5 billion towards border security and technology. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador of Mexico agreed to that. So victory for Biden. Also, Biden got another little small victory. Not a wall, but it's technology and stuff to help out, which is much smarter than a wall because walls can be penetrated and climbed over and dug under. Wall Street Journal and Washington Times tried to call cap on the whole 10-year-old being raped and having to have an abortion. They didn't believe the story. Going to find out someone has been arrested in that case. So hopefully they made those retractions and corrections and apologies, but I doubt it. And the last thing I want to mention, man, I'm not going to mention their name because, they want to keep it private, but the three of us and our close friends know what's going on. So to that person, that means a lot to all of us in our circle of friends. I definitely want to pray for their recovery and their safety. We got the news a few days ago. It caught us all off off guard. And, we haven't really talked about it that much individually, but I just wanted to send out prayers to them and just know that they are in our thoughts and minds, and we are wishing for the best, man. So just want to put that out there.
Appreciate it. That's good, man. You guys got some good stuff. So I want to, real quick, to all the teachers going back, get your inner peace. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. My wife's a teacher, and I know that feeling of going back after being off for a certain amount of time. So all the teachers, enjoy the last few weeks of your break. We thank you. The reason I say that is because there's a teacher shortage. I know they're trying to do something in Florida where they're saying any ex-military personnel that is trying to be a teacher, might not have a degree or certification. They're willing to work with them to teach. Which
Alabama lowered their standards too for teachers and requirements.
Yeah, instead of paying teachers more because teachers are quitting left and right, they're just hiring more and more people. So to these school systems, I pray for the education of our youth. That's going to be really big, and it's going to, I think, be a huge gap in the upcoming years as we fight to still be one of the most powerful nations in the world, because our education system, there's becoming even a larger gap. So with that being said, Three Brothers No Sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.